Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming today. We're gonna get started here. I'm gonna pass it off to legislators.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Mark Sickles, and I represent a beautiful part of South Fairfax County, home of the Hayfield Hawks, whose undefeated boys basketball team is currently ranked 4th in the Commonwealth. However, I believe they're on their way to the state championship, which will be down the street here at VCU on March 11th, so keep your fingers crossed. My colleagues and I are here today to make clear that we are not giving up on our efforts to let Virginians vote on two important constitutional amendments: the automatic restoration of voting rights for returning citizens and the removing of the shameful Marshall-Newman language which bans marriage equality. It is unconstitutional, but remains an ugly stain on our Commonwealth. To review, in order to make amendments to the Commonwealth's Constitution, the General Assembly has to pass the same resolution 2 times with the House of Delegates election in between. When these resolutions came up for a vote the first time in 2021, last year, they were passed with bipartisan support. Therefore, this year we have before us the exact same language that was passed by the House and passed last year by the House and the Senate, but the House Republicans have chosen to keep these measures from the voters this fall. After having defeated the House versions earlier this session, hope existed and grew that with some time and thought they might reconsider when the Senate versions came over, but alas, that did not happen. These issues of equality and civil rights are too important to be decided by 6 Republican delegates in an early morning subcommittee. House and Senate Democrats are united in our belief that these measures should be placed on the ballot so that Virginians can make themselves heard this November. And with that, I will, I don't know what they're afraid of, but I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, Senator Adam Ebbin, to speak on his resolution, SJ5.
Thank you, Delegate Sickles. I too represent Hayfield Hawks and hope they'll be winning the state championship, but Delegate Sickles is a better booster than I, attending all the games. I believe that, I know what they're afraid of. They're afraid of evolution. This Commonwealth has evolved since 1607. It's evolved since 2006 when our Constitution was stained with the amendment, the marriage amendment, so-called marriage amendment. And it's evolved even since earlier this session, and I hope and pray that the Republicans can evolve too, like the rest of Virginia. This amendment, the constitutional amendment to repeal and replace the marriage ban, does a simple but momentous thing. Our Constitution, the foundational document of the oldest democracy in the Western world, only once deprived citizens of a right, the right to marry the person you love. SJ5 removes that stain and permanently enshrines this right, safeguarding it for Virginians regardless of their sex or gender. It provides a fundamental right, a fundamental dignity and equality to our family, friends, and neighbors, and to me. And it reflects the will of a supermajority of Virginians. It is time to let voters take action on this amendment. We've earned that right. And I would say that when Virginia repealed its anti-miscegenation law in 1968, it was just 1 year after Loving versus Virginia. It's been years since Oberfeld versus Hodges. It's time to do that. Same-sex couples are allowed to adopt, make medical decisions for spouses, and inherit property. This amendment requires the Commonwealth to recognize marriages, regardless of sex or gender of the persons involved, but also ensures that religious institutions do not have to perform marriage ceremonies during the course of their religious duties. Thank you. I'm going to introduce Narissa Rahman from Equality Virginia to speak on SJ5.
Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everyone. My name is Narissa Rahman. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Executive Director of Equality Virginia. We are the Commonwealth's leading organization advocating for equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Virginians. LGBTQ people want the same chance as everyone else to marry the person they love and take care of their families. And in 2015, over 6.5 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that LGBTQ couples have the same freedom to marry and access the rights and benefits that are related to marriage. At the end of the day, marriage is about loving, committed couples who want to make a lifelong promise to take care of and be responsible for each other in good times and bad, in sickness and in health. Marriage is about love and responsibility, and it's about the commitment we make to the one we love. These are the reasons anyone, regardless of who they love, enters into marriage. Marriage equality, as the Senator said, is the law of the land, and it's reflected in the Virginia Code, and it's time for the Virginia Constitution to reflect that reality. But we're not just here to talk about marriage equality. On Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m., 6 delegates robbed Virginia voters of the chance to make their voice heard. And on Tuesday morning at 6:30 a.m., 6 lawmakers made a decision for the Commonwealth of Virginia. According to them, the defunct, bigoted, and outdated language about marriage should remain in the Constitution. Those 6 delegates do not speak for the entire Commonwealth of Virginia. We should give the power back to the people and let Virginia voters decide. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Senator Locke to speak on SJ1.
Good morning, everyone. I too know what they're afraid of. They're afraid of you, the voters. They're also afraid of members of their own caucus and allowing those members to vote their conscience. That's what they're afraid of. They're also afraid of enshrining in the Constitution the will of individuals to vote and to not have that vote be enshrined in the document that says that democracy is the will of the people. That's what they're afraid of. They're also afraid of the fact that they will no longer be able to pass voter suppression laws in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That's what they're afraid of. And they are afraid of democracy and letting the people vote and letting the people have the ability to determine who they want to represent them. That's what they are afraid of. They are afraid of you, the voter. And SJ1, that we have been working on for years to have placed in the Constitution, basically says that if you are 18 years of age or older, have served your time in prison, have been deemed mentally competent to understand the right to vote, you shall have that right restored to you. And that cannot be abridged by law. Yeah. Sounds reasonable to me. What is wrong with that language that they are so afraid of? They are afraid that that rips from them some power that they think that they have. They don't have the power. You, the people, have the power. And they are afraid of you. So let's show them that they don't. So I will now turn it over to Sean Winetta from the ACLU.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Winetta speaking on behalf of the ACLU. We're a nonpartisan organization with over 100,000 members here in Virginia. We not only support this resolution to restore voting rights, but it's also personal for me. I am a returning citizen. About a year ago, I was in a room and had the luck to gain an audience with Governor Northam, and he restored my voting rights. And I had been showing up to testify at many hearings with many of these members here, and letting them know in these hearings in the last sessions that that was my only way to have a voice. I did not have the opportunity to go and cast a ballot. Last March, Governor Northam restored my rights along with 69,000 other men and women in Virginia that had returned from incarceration. And I voted in the primaries. I ran to the registration office to register to vote, and then I voted in the primary, and I voted in the election this past November. And as a 45-year-old man, it was one of the most proud moments of my life. And I will vote any opportunity. There could be an election for dog catcher, and I'll go and vote because I didn't have that opportunity before. Everyone deserves these second chances and to be a full participant in society. I felt like a full citizen again. I felt whole again, having returned from incarceration after 16 years in prison. A person shouldn't be penalized once their sentence is complete. We're not sentencing, if a person is not being sentenced to life, when they return home, the rights that have been suspended or taken from them for that period of incarceration should be restored immediately. Being fully engaged gives me, I feel like I have a sense of respect and belonging here in the Commonwealth. Recent surveys show that 65% of Virginians support this right to vote amendment. That people should be engaged in this. In my work before the ACLU with the Humanization Project and now with the ACLU, we did a lot of work to gain support for this. This is not a partisan issue. There was a Republican House patron of the same resolution. We went and worked and spoke to and told our stories. Other returning citizens like myself went and spoke to members of both chambers, of both parties, and told them our stories, and we gained 4 co-patrons for this resolution. It is not a partisan issue. It is not something that should simply be decided by 6 people in a room at 7 in the morning. People want, and one of the sort of talking points of this last election was giving control back to people and putting it back in the hands of localities. Well, how can we do that better than putting it on the ballot and giving the citizens of the Commonwealth the opportunity to have a voice in this? It should not be in the hand of a partisan actor, and Governor McDonald said that same thing over a decade ago. It should be in the hands of people of the voters should decide if we should have rights restored to people immediately upon return from incarceration. Again, it shouldn't be in the hands of a partisan actor or in the hands of 6 people at 6 in the morning, or even put it to the floor. Let's put it to the floor. There is a majority of members of the House delegates, as well as the Senate. They've spoken clearly. Majority of the House delegates believe that this should move forward as well, and we're calling on the House to allow that to happen and allow the procedures to move forward, to discharge this to the floor, and allow members to vote their conscience. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Tram from New Virginia Majority. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Good morning. My name is Tram Nguyen. I am the co-executive director of New Virginia Majority. We were founded nearly 15 years ago with the goal of encouraging Virginians from all walks of life to participate in our democracy. It's the one avenue that everyday citizens get to have a voice in our government and in the decisions that impact their lives. And that includes all people, including folks who have made mistakes in their past, folks who've been formerly incarcerated, convicted of felonies. Everyday citizens like Sean, everyday citizens like Christopher Rashad Green, whose first experience with the criminal system was when he was 13 years old as a juvenile. And he was a part of this system for 30 years. His last release date was in 2013. And in 2016, Governor McAuliffe restored his voting rights. And he has since become one of the greatest community leaders that we have, working on issues across the board. He's been featured in books and a short film called Sunrise Around the Corner. He has an amazing story. People like Clyde Young, whose rights were recently restored, and this is what he had to say. He said, quote, "My being able to vote makes me feel like a real citizen of Virginia, because before that, I felt like a foreigner." These are real people who want to be a part of their communities, who want to be engaged, and who want to have a say. And for far too long, Virginians have been denied this right to vote because of a mistake they made in their past. Mistakes that they made even when they were young, when they didn't have a lot of support around them, right? And so the last decade or so, we have been working to restore voting rights for Virginians across the Commonwealth. We've restored the rights directly, helped over 30,000 people get their rights restored and to register to vote and to become a part of this democracy and this system. And if we truly want people convicted of felonies to re-engage with our society, to rehabilitate, and to become a part of their communities, then we should be doing everything we can, including giving them their full rights, giving them this second chance. And giving people this second chance is one of the many reasons why rights restoration has such bipartisan support. We have worked with Republican and Democratic governors to expand rights restoration. Governor Bob McDonnell, even Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli supported this during those years. Governor Terry McAuliffe, Governor Ralph Northam. The time is now. Virginians want this. As Sean said, the majority of Virginians across the Commonwealth believe in second chances and believe in this fundamental right to vote. In rural Virginia, in Northern Virginia, Central Virginia, Hampton Roads, across the board. And it's time. Virginia is one of the last states in this country to have such a draconian felony disenfranchisement law. Virginia and Kentucky. That's it. 2 states. And it's time that we can do better. It's long overdue. And we are eager to see the Commonwealth turn this page towards a Virginia that reflects all of us, where citizens should be able to not only have the right to vote, but full citizenship also means having a voice in our government. And so we will do whatever it takes, however long it takes, to get this on the ballot for the voters to decide. And I know that our senators and our delegates here who are standing with us are doing everything they can to try to get this for a full floor vote in the House. And we've got, 10 days left? Something like that? And we're gonna push we're gonna push hard for these 10 days to get this done. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charnel Herring, House Democratic Caucus Chair. Thank you for being here. At this point, it is entirely possible that the House Republicans can bring these resolutions back to life and send the amendments to Virginia voters. Until the House gavels out sine die, there are options to do the right thing, and that is the good news. And we know that it is the right thing. This was a measure passed out on both of measures in a bipartisan fashion in the Senate. Not only that, polls have consistently shown that Virginians are in favor of both of these constitutional amendments. If the majority of the House and the Senate and the people of Virginia are in favor, why should 6 Republicans and a committee and a subcommittee actually decide that it should not go on the ballot? Additionally, we have not heard yet from Governor Youngkin on these issues. And we are confident that if he were to weigh in and make his support known, it would help give the House Republicans the support that they need to move forward. So today, we are calling on Governor Youngkin and the House Republicans to join us in taking the steps needed to allow Virginians to vote on these issues. The power should be in the people's hands. We encourage Virginians from around the Commonwealth to reach out to their delegate and let them know you want them to support the efforts to pass SJ1, the Restoration of Voting Rights Amendment, and SJ5, to finally repeal the bigoted language in our code regarding marriage.
Yeah.
I thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you so much. We're gonna open it up to a quick Q&A. So does anyone have a question? Right over here.
Could someone give us a brief overview of procedurally what the options are? Is it just charging it for a floor vote? And if that's the option, is it just the speaker that has to agree to hear it?
Right, so there is a rules change and a motion to discharge the committee, and then if that passes with the majority of votes in the House chamber, we can finally have a vote on the floor. And it doesn't circumvent any process, and that's what the beauty about this is that we have already had hearings, we've had public testimony, and both measures overwhelming support, and especially with the restoration of voting rights. I will say all faiths. We had leaders from every faith come forward. And as is mentioned before, is bipartisan. It's not about political party. This is about what is right. And at both of these measures, if you think about it historically, these are both measures, I will use it and I don't care. These are both bigoted measures, and it's just wrong. It's just plain wrong. And if there's any fear, if there's any flaw, let the people decide if our Constitution should be amended. So, that's the process, is that we will have a vote to discharge the committee, and hopefully we can pass this measure on the House floor, both of them.
Okay, great. Do we have any other questions out here? All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it.